my honor giving you Sesario Sewralur.
Aloha. Good afternoon. Before we go into more further to talk about a little about navigation, I would like to first pay my respect to this land, to the hotel management, and most especially the Hawaiian All-Rigger Canoe Voyagers Society. I'm sorry I'm not a very good speaker in front of this audience, but I will try my very best. So many years ago, in 1976, when my father left my island to come and take the voyaging canoe from Hawaii to Tahiti, I was still a little boy. I'm from the island of Satual, which is very tiny, probably 3 miles long and about 1.5 miles wide. So back home is all small atolls, there's no mountains. And you have to be a very good navigator to find those islands, because within 8 to 9 miles, you cannot really see the island. But once you reach the island, you gotta find a way to find the island. Yes, so I started learning navigation with my father when I was 4. We do have a lot of techniques. So at 4, we start to learn the star compass and the name of the stars as a basic learning, until we get to a point that you start to sail around to prove yourself. You have the courage that you can do your sailing from place to place. And then you enter what's so-called post ceremony. So post ceremony, po is not something that, it's not a title, but it's initiation to become a master navigator. So just to make you understand, the po is not a title. It's an initiation to become a master navigator. So we do have a lot of things to learn. So we do have, for each month we do have the storm stars. So what the storm stars tells you is, each month have 2 storm stars that you need to know, because that's what it tells you when it's the good weather to sail, when you see the storm stars rising or setting. And that's what it tells you, the cap of good weather to sail. So it's not only learning the stars, but you have the storm stars of each month. You need to know all the references. You gotta be a shallow reef, animals in the ocean, exactly where, they tells you exactly where you're at. If you see them, and they give you a sign that, or it's a number of fish, it's a number of dolphins. Those are the references that we use to guide us in the ocean. So I started learning from my father when I was 4. And 1980, we were in Saipan. And my father, after he left Hawaii in 1976, not Hawaii, but I think he left Tahiti, to come back home, saying that he will never come back to Hawaii. It's just a little bit conflict on the voyage down to Tahiti. So he decided not to come back to Hawaii. But then, 1980, we were in Saipan when Nanoa came and asked my father to come back to Hawaii to teach navigation. So I came to Hawaii with my father in 1980. So it was about 2 years of learning. So 1985, I was on the voyage of rediscovery. I was 16 years old. I was the youngest among the crew members from Hawaii to Tahiti. that, I continued to come to Hawaii in 1990s, sailed the Cook Islands, Maoris, Tahitians, those trained navigators in 1990s. So, 95, we did the voyage down to Tahiti and with all these canoe from New Zealand, from Cook Island, and from Tahiti. So we went all over the islands in Tahiti, then we came back to Hawaii. And the same year I had to sail down to Cook Island with Maori canoe. They were asking me to help them down with the navigation. Same year, I had to jump on Te Aotearoa canoe from Cook Islands to go to Mururoa, one of the atoll in Tahiti, where they test the nuclear bomb. So as a Pacific Islander, we need to work together to look at this nuclear testing in our small islands. So I was there. I went there to protest against the nuclear test. So I was in Cook Island for 3 months, and then I returned to Hawaii, returned back home. 99 is the MR voyage to sail the master home. That's luckily involved in that voyage. They bring my father from Hawaii to his home island of Samoa. Then 2000, they started to construct a canoe called Alingana Maisu. So Maisu in our language is fallen breadfruit. Alingana is to show the beauty of fallen breadfruit. Okay, in our culture, you cannot pick a breadfruit from the breadfruit tree if it's not yours. But if it's nature caused that the wind blow the breadfruit down, anybody can collect. So what my father named the canoe is to show the beauty of the fallen breadfruit that you can easily collect when it falls on the ground, to share the knowledge of navigation. So they built a canoe, was donated from all over the Hawaiian Islands, I believe all over the Pacific. Donate the money to build a canoe at Lingana Maisu, which is my father would like to have that canoe as a floating classroom. That's what we are doing today. So we use the canoe. We're very thankful for the effort of Hawaiian community and all over the Pacific Islands donating the canoe to my father. So we're using it as a floating classroom. And as the president of the Hawaiian Outrigger Canoe Voyaging Society mentioned about the how we come together to work, so on. So mainly it is the spirit of our ancestors that they bring us together today. So I would like to thank the president of the Outrigger Canoe Voyaging Society, and of course the director of the society, Anela, which is she just became my sister the other day. Thank you for everything. So I always think of myself, what am I doing here? It's our ancestors that they brought us together to work and to bring back what belongs to us from the beginning till today. So I believe if you have any questions, I'm more than willing to answer, try my best to answer your question regarding navigation or regarding the history of.
That way he can hear and monitor.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Pleiades. Yeah. When you're navigating, what the Pleiades has to do with navigation.
Well, we use the stars, the ocean swells, birds, animals, moon and sun. So those are the 12 natural elements that you use for navigation. For an example, when you depart an island, you need to keep looking back to that island of departure, because that's where it tells you where you can drift to, and then it tells you where the current comes from. So if you're sailing to the east, the island behind you moves to the south. That means your canoe is taken by a current to the north. So then you need to compensate your course line based on the current. I hope I answered your question.
When you first sailed from Hawaii to Tahiti, how long did it take in days or weeks? And how many miles was it to get from there, from Hawaii to Tahiti?
I believe it's 2,000 some miles, 2,500 miles. 3,500 some miles. It took us 33 days to get to Tahiti without seeing any land. It's just you wake up the next morning, it's all ocean. So it takes patience, courage, and physically and mentally fit to go on those long voyages.
At a high level, can you go through some of the basic steps that you go through when preparing for a journey?
Basic steps of
When you get ready to go on a voyage, what are some of the basic things that you do to prepare for that trip?
well, if you're planning on a go on a voyage, the first thing you need to know is to look at your storm stars. We do have bearing either. If you don't want to go early morning on the east side to look at the rising stars, you can wait until evening, because when you look at the stars setting, then you already know what stars are rising in the morning. So the stars are not rising at one time in 1 month, but they rise at different time of the month and time of the year. So you gotta know what storm stars. It depends on the month you're planning to sail. If you're going to be sailing in January, then you should look at the star called Altair and Vega. So those are the storm stars that they create storm in January. So those are the basic things that you look at it to make sure that you're safe to go sailing. And which is, in my case, the season of sailing is from January to May. So it's always safe to sail. Of course, you're going to meet with little storms, but you know how to. Did I answer your question? I'm sorry.
You said it takes 33 days sailing from Hawaii to Tahiti. Is there any refrigeration on these canoes? And if not, what do you eat for 33 days?
Well, we do not have a refrigerator on the canoes. We do have a lot of water supplies. We make sure that we we have enough supplies for at least 2 months. So we load the canoe with a lot of water. We do some experiment on taking some local food down on the voyage, but we do have canned goods and rice. But other than that, we try to catch fish as much as we can. Yes, we do have the propane gas stove or something.
Hi, aloha. O ia kapa ko I noho vau ma kapalui. I'm wondering, and mahalo ya kala na uike I he I'm wondering if you can speak to, I understand the idea of here is a star, travel towards it, but as I recall, there is also the idea that a particular star is rising on the horizon here at the same time that another star is rising on the horizon over here. And it's the fact that both stars are rising at the same time, as opposed to one rises ahead of the other one. Can you speak to how that aspect plays into navigation?
Well, each navigational stars rises in their positions. There are some stars that you can always guide yourself on whatever stars that rises based on the rising and setting position. It rises same degree. Let's say it rises at 90 degrees east. It should set at 270 degrees west. So based on those stars, if you know their rising position and their setting position, it should be the exact opposite of that degree. So if it rises 90 degrees, it should set 270 degrees, which is east to west, just for you to get an understanding. So any stars that rises, let's say southeast, it's still guiding you in which direction you want to go based on. Because as I grew up, I learned the two-way bearing, which is you pair the stars, the navigational stars, and four-way bearing. Because if you see your guiding star in front of you, you already know what's behind you, you already know what's on your right and what's on your left. So in case if you cannot see the star in front of you, you still see other stars around you that you can look at it and say, okay, turn the canoe a little bit this way. This star supposed to be on this side of the canoe and this side of the canoe. So that's how we guide ourselves. Same thing with the ocean swells. You gotta feel the movement, because if the canoe turns to the wrong direction, it's gonna be different movement of the canoe also. Either the canoe is rocking side by side, then if you turn to the wrong direction, it will be different movement, because it's not, it goes with the swells. And then it tells you, oh, I gotta bring it back the way it's supposed to be rocking. It's as Bala mentioned last night, that difficult to learn up on land, but it's much better to be in the ocean, to look at the ocean swells. Thank you.
Unstruck Community Path. Hello, my name is Community Path, and I was wondering if you were to learn like the basic navigation from the stars and you were just starting as a beginner, how long would it take, to learn how to navigate? Like how many years or to be able to do it?
I started learning when I was 4. And then it took me all the way to I've been doing a lot of voyages, and I didn't do it by myself, because once you you have the courage that you want to do it yourself without your master, and then that's when you do it, and then that's when you're gonna go to be boat navigator. I mean, they're gonna do the ceremony for you. So it took me, I'll say, 18 years to learn, but I'm still learning until I made that single voyage by myself without my father. So I did what so-called Millennium Voyage, which is just right after the 99 voyage to sail Master home. That's when I decided I'll do it by myself. So I sailed from sail about 600 miles from Satawal to Cyprus. So that was a Millennium Voyage that I did. Then 2007, that's when I was initiated into a navigator with Nemo Thompson, Nicolas father, Chad Babayan, Bruce Blackenfield, Sorry Berman. So we were initiated in that year in 2007. But I think nowadays it should be easier because we write it down in our notebook or in the paper. But the way I learned, meaning of both ceremony is they pound everything into your head. They don't believe that they're going to take your notebook to the water because once they get wet, they will be it. So that's the meaning of po. Means they pound. When you're pounding the tarot, so they try to fit everything in your mind.
Hello.
So,
Thank you for being here. I was wondering, is there any kind of motor on the canoe? And if not, how many people are helping you paddle during this voyage?
is there any motor on board? Okay, yeah, on Alicante Nation we do have. It's really hard to maneuver the double hull canoe with sail when you go into the channel. So one of the reasons why they put the motor is just to guide us in to the channels and to go to where we're going to park. But once we go out in the open, I don't think if you're going to travel 3,000 miles, you're going to carry a lot of fuel. So we want to carry enough fuel just to take us into channel to arrive our destination. But once we go out in the open, we pull up the engine, put on the sails. That's a free fuel using the sails.
If there is an emergency and you miscalculate your destination and you get lost in the ocean, who do you call?
Lost in the ocean, okay. In navigation, of course, the wind will always change. So when you sail, for example, if I'm going to sail from here to Tahiti, I will always keep track of which island, let's say, maybe it could be Marquesas. Those are my island reference islands that I should keep track of it. Because in terms of an emergency or something, we're out of supplies, we need to turn to that direction, that the island is closer to you than your final destination. So it's not only concentrating on that island of your destination, but all the islands around you, because in case something happens, you have a better understanding on which island is more closer to you to turn into that island. So you're not navigating to just to reach where you want to go, but all the islands that might be closer in case of emergencies.
So when you're talking about traveling from Hawaii to Tahiti and talking about the channel, is it one continuous channel from the island of Hawaii all the way to Tahiti, or is it multiple channels that you're crossing into?
When I'm talking about channels, just that channel to go into the harbor or something, on, I believe that there's a lot of harbors, channels in Hawaii, so it depends on what island you're going to take you to go inside the channel. So if it's Hawaii High in the Big Island, does that make sense? I'm sorry.
Aloha. From the life that you have lived and the path you're still living, what could you tell us here today that we could share with others that are not here?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Absolutely. The path that you have lived and the one that you're still on. What advice or what is something that comes to mind that we here today can take with us and share with others?
To share,
With others, with other people.
to share with others. Okay. Navigation is not only about to get you from place to place. Navigation is, when I grew up, I learned that we have 18 schools of navigation. So now, rest of the school of navigation are gone. It's only 2 now. It's what the Hawaiian Navigators and myself still carry on, which is the School of Voyagers. So, in the skills of navigation, once you step on the canoe, nationality doesn't matter. You become one family. Canoe is your mother, the navigator is your father. Rest are a family member. So that's one thing that we need to share with others, that once you step on the canoe, doesn't matter where you come from. Are you from Hawaii? You're from Tahiti, from Micronesia, but you become one people, one family. We need to work together, because if it's not our efforts if we disagree with each other, we cannot get anywhere. So I believe that that's a little conflict that happens in 1976. That's why my father left the canoe in Tahiti and went back home. But we became to understand. So that's one thing that we need to share with others about voyaging, because we become a family, not by nationality. It has to go that way, but we have to become a family. A little history of, we call the canoe wa in our language. So wa means fame also. So in the old days, we do not have ways of communication, but the wa is the main resources that deliver messages from place to place to relatives and bring people in terms of typhoon that destroy the island. Then you need to be going to different place to bring your people there to survive. So it's just like our ancestors think about the vein, which is wa in our language, that the blood travels to deliver messages all over the body. So I think that those are the messages that we need to understand and share with others.
Aloha ho. So when Hikiana Leah was here in Ma'alaya Harbor 5 or 6 years ago, we had a chance to go on board, and they explained that they have GPS to comply with maritime law. I know they don't necessarily use it for navigation, but and I understand that sometimes the Hikiana Leah follows Hokulea on a voyage. Can you speak to that relationship, and do all of the voyaging canoes have technology on board in compliance with maritime law, even though it's not used as part of the navigation?
I cannot speak for the canoes in Hawaii. I believe that might be the requirements. it's not a requirement yet, but as we teach non-instrument navigation, we do understand that the relatives of the students need to know our position. So we do have on board what's so-called the tracking device that you don't know where you're at, but we press that every 6 hours for the people on land to look into their computers and see where you're at, and they have, they feel a little bit better to see where you're at instead of not knowing where you're at with their kids or with their relatives. And we do have VHF on board. We have a lot of cargo ships that going around in our water, not like in the old days that we don't have these cargo ship fishing boats. And it's really dangerous at night. So when you see a boat coming, you need to go on that VHF on International Channel 16 to communicate with them, to let them know that you're a sailing canoe, you're not a motorboat. So yeah, we do have some of those just for safety reason, and we do have running lights to show the motorboats that. So I think it's a requirement as a U.S. Coast Guard might put as a safety. But yet we don't carry those yet. But who knows? Maybe in the near future, our government might say, "Oh, look, you need to carry all these requirements."
Hi, Cesario. Thank you for being here and sharing this wonderful information. I had a question about your father, and was there ancient knowledge that were there masters who taught your father? Or I would just excuse my ignorance, but I'm really curious about that, and how far back the navigation tradition from this upper level goes.
How far is the?
Yeah. Okay, just who were the predecessors to your father, and did your father learn from somebody, from other masters?
Oh,
Or
yes. My father learned from his grandfather and his father. So, these skills of navigation that passed down, in our culture, they should pass down within the family only. But I believe that, as I said, most of the schools of navigation were lost because it was not shared with others. It was just passed down within the family. So that's how they lost all these schools of navigation, which is, I learned to be 18 of them, and now only to survive. So that's when my father, when he was asked to take the voyage down to Tahiti, he already see what's going on in our islands, because the young generation more likely want to go with the Western influence and not learning their culture. So I think that's a very big step of my father, to step outside the box and teach the navigation with the Hawaiians. And that's why he called his canoe, to show the beauty of fallen breadfruit. Because he was, of course, our community were against him being sharing the knowledge. So now he turn around and tell them, look at the criticism I've been receiving from you, and look at the scales now, it's all over. The beauty of the fallen breadfruit.
Aloha. My question is, how do the storm stars function? What are you looking for in them to tell you when and when not to sail?
Well, when you look at the storm stars, say maybe 5 o'clock in the morning, when they just started coming up from the horizon. Okay. What I've been taught about storm stars is when they start rising, that's when they're struggling to come up on the surface. So they create storm. For example, Southern Cross, when it goes down on the west for setting, you know, the Southern Cross is like a triggerfish, if you look at it. So it struggled to dive into the water, so it create in our place in Micronesia. So Southern Cross is a storm star that creates storm in August. So that's our typhoon season from August to December. So you look at the height of the storm stars. Once they go higher, about 9 degrees high, then you should be cleared to go sailing.
Hi, my question is, when does the navigator get to sleep?
When is the navigator what?
Get to sleep?
Well, you need to have somebody that also has the skills of navigator so you can take the turn. But if you're only by yourself, you hardly sleep. You can just be sitting there, just close your eyes for at least a minute, but you need to open your eyes again. Okay, it's just a little story when on Makali, when we went down in '99. Our navigator is short in Berlin. He hardly goes to sleep when the other crew member steer the canoe because they don't get the feeling of steering the canoe straight in the direction that he wants. So you can hear him say up, down, most of the time. The only time that he goes to rest when I hop on the steering paddle. That's when he lay down and rest because I took care of the steering paddle. I use anything to guide me. I even use my shadow from the sun to guide me on the steering. So that's the only time that he went down. But when the others went up, you will hear him say, "Oh, up, down." Try to guide them where to steer the canoes.
What are your next steps? Is there a project or anything that you're working on that once you complete, you feel like you can take a break?
Can you say that again, please?
What are the next steps for you in what you're working on in your life? Is there a project that you're working on or anything that once you feel like you complete it, you feel like you can take a break?
Well, that's a very good question because the Hawaiian Outrigger Voyaging Society, Canoe Voyaging Society, we would like to work together to repair the canoe or give whatever that needs to be done on the canoe to our student exchange between Maui and Micronesia. So we believe we might have to sail from Micronesia to here up in the future if we were still here. So that, I think that was the plan, that we need to move forward, bring the students across for exchange knowledge and continue to move on with these skills of navigation. So I think that's the project that we're looking at. Not only Maui, but even I think Taiwan is also trying to be involved in this program.
Approximately how many people are trying to learn or practice this form of navigation and sailing that you know of?
Right now, with my students, we've been, initiate some of my students. So right now it's 4 that they've been initiated into a master navigator. And now I have 25 students in my class today. So we're receiving more students. They're getting more interested to learn. The really key to it is once you have a voyage, then something it tells you, because you get to better know how to understand different cultures when you sail from places to places. So, and that's what inspired me when I first voyaged from, on the 85 voyage, 85, 87 British Discovery, to see different cultures.
Thank you so much for being here and sharing with us. I have a question, and sailors in the 17th, 18th century used sextants for navigation aids as a physical tool to use. Do you have any non-electronic instruments that you use, or I mean, what do you use besides the looking at the stars? I mean, are there any tools that aid you at all?
We do not have anything to use. We just use the measurement of the height of the stars, moving from north to south or moving from south, latitude, west to east is, you gotta know how far you travel. I mean, by knowing the speed of your canoe. So we don't use sextant. I've heard a lot about sextant, but I've never seen one.
I use them, and they're sometimes quite difficult, with cloudy weather, you can't see. So you seem to have it down really good.
Yeah. If overcast, as I said, you need to know to feel the movement of your canoe and the ocean swells. So ocean swells, it comes from each direction. In our star compass, we also put all the 32 points, and then we, put the swells in the star compass, where that swells come from. But that's really, it depends on the wind direction. If you know your wind direction, the biggest swell will be where the wind comes from.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I see that a lot of women have stepped into navigating, and I know it was not part of the tradition, and your father was challenged with whether or not to initiate women. So if you don't mind me asking, where do you stand with women as navigators and taking initiation?
Thank you for that question. And actually, in our history of navigation, it started from a woman. So, a little story that, this bird that fly into this little tiny atoll of Pula. So that bird flew into that island. There was a girl that created the bird. So that bird shows her how to navigate. So she had her two sons. So she got the older one, and then when he's ready to navigate, she's the one doing the post ceremony for him. And then when the younger son ready to navigate, it was his older brother that initiated him into a master navigator. So now it's two different titles because the older brother received the initiation from his mom. So So his title is Sewralur, which is it's the same skills, but his title is a bit lower than his younger brother title because he's the one who initiated his brother. So in our culture, men are actually the navigation starts from a woman. So we should be proud. We should bring this to the women that they should be a navigator. So I don't see why they cannot become a navigator if it starts from a woman.
How do you determine how fast you're going, your speed, your canoe?
I'm sorry.
How do you determine your speed of your boat, of the canoe, as it's saying? Speed, speed or
Navigator is really fast. I think it's faster than Macaulay. In 2007, when we went down, we had to wait for Hukulea most of the time. Yeah, that's true. So it's really fast. It is because it's more in a V shape. Oh, how do you determine? I'm sorry. Well, we just look at the bubbles passing by. That's how I determine my speed. And sometimes I have to put myself on the steering barrel just to feel how heavy it is. Because the more heavier it goes, the more fast it goes. If the steering barrel is just, that means you're going very slow. But sometimes you have to fight with the steering barrel. It tells you how fast the canoe is. That you're not even trying to put the barrel down or put the barrel out of the water. But you keep it down in the water because more wind, the more heavier it is, so the more faster we go. And truly, we're just looking at the bubbles passing by.
My question is, how do you use the clouds in navigation?
How you use what?
Cloud formations?
Oh, cloud formations. When they ask you to, they say mark, this is going to be during the day. So for me, I don't use the clouds that they're close because they're passing by very fast. I look at the farthest cloud close to the horizon because you hardly see them moving, but not the one they close by to you. So that you gotta look for the farthest cloud. And I can guide you within a few hours to go on your true course.
Aloha. Mahalo for sharing your lifelong experiences. My question is, in all of your voyages, have you ever been scared? Were you ever in danger?
What's that again?
Were you ever afraid in any of your voyages? Or were you ever in danger?
Well, I do not afraid. I think that's one of the things that I always put it in my heart. I said, it doesn't matter. If I go out, something happened to me in the ocean, I die. I will die anyway. It doesn't matter where I die. On land, in the ocean. I will always go into that position that I will always face problem. If I die, maybe that's our ancestor called, it's time for you to come. So I'm never afraid during all my voyages. I strongly believe in myself. Because if you become to be scared, you'll be, your mind is not going to be thinking straight. Okay. In 2013, we happened to get a lot of water on basin. So one hull sank. And this, she's from state. She joined us on the voyage. She's one of my students. She's from United States. daily. Okay. So we, early in the morning, around 4 o'clock, early morning, so one of the halls sang, and then she started crying, shouting, asking me to do something. So I had to walk to her and tell her, can you calm down? Because if you keep crying and shouting, you'll make everybody, panic, and then they cannot think straight. So sure enough, when the daylight out, some of my crew grabbed their gowns, their masks, fins, out of nowhere. And I asked them, where are you guys going? We're gonna swim. I said, do you know where you're gonna swim to? They go, no. I said, do you know how far are we from the island? And they said, no. I said, so you're more safe to stay on the canoe instead of swimming. Because when you swim, you don't know where to swim to. You might face a problem. So they realized they put back their gears down. They wait until like 8 o'clock. And then, we activate the tracking device. 8 o'clock in the morning, 9, then we got this Huntay cargo ship rescue us from them. And then we went back to Palau. The next day, we went on our speedboat, we go look for the canoe, and then we pull it back. So, yeah, being scared, that means it won't get you anywhere. You're gonna be just totally confused if you're scared. So that's what happened in 2013. People are getting panic while that other single person shouting and asking for, we gotta do something. Just have the basic.
Mahalo everybody for being here. Sorry if there's anything else that you want to close with. It's time.
Oh.
But we want to mahalo Sesario for coming all the way from Palau to be here with us. Any last message that you want to share with us?
I would like to, a very special thank you to all of you for being here to listen to a little story of mine. And most especially thanks to the Hawaiian Outrigger Canoe Voyaging Society for their tireless night and days preparing and organizing this event to bring all of us together. And to Ilani Resort for being the host there for us during this weekend. And I thank you all for being here. Mahalo. Thank you so much.